Here we go. Welcome to everyone out there, friends, family, fans, IRS debt collectors, exes, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, and wives. Welcome to the third annual Beantown Podcast Pledge Drive Fundraiser. This is your host with the most, Quinn Furness. We're coming to you on two screens. This is very exciting for those of you out there. Instagram, Facebook, camera one, camera two, camera one, camera two. Oh man, this is exciting. We are coming to you live from Rogers Park, north side of Chicago, for the third annual Beantown Podcast Pledge Drive Fundraiser, Telethon Spectacular. You can, of course, donate. Link is in the description on Instagram. Go to the bio. Facebook, you'll see it in the description of the event. GoFundMe page. It's really exciting. We're raising money for our operating costs, and this is our third year doing this. We're hoping to hit just about $300. Things that the money goes to, it's for our website. It's for the Beantown blog. It's for our assignments. It's for our hosting costs. SoundCloud has been hosting us the past 3 years here. And we're looking to continue that partnership in the future. And then a very exciting special new thing happening in year 3 of the podcast. We're partnering with a brand called Wave, and they do a really good job of condensing our podcasts, not condensing, but cutting out little 30 to 60 second snippets that we can then put some visual over. Makes it super easy to share on places like Facebook, Instagram. So you don't have to go digging through all, the half hour, 60-minute podcast, get all our content. If you just want a little taste, a little bite-sized something, you can absolutely do that just with a little 30 to 60-second clip through Wave. So we're going to be partnering with them so that there's some operating overhead there going on as well. But that's where the money goes to. Of course, any additional donations that we get after we hit our mark goes straight to charity JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund here in Chicago. We're very excited to continue our partnership with them. And you know what? Donor tiers, they are there for you. You see them all laid out in the GoFundMe page. It is really exciting. Thanks to Tariq Shahada for sort of getting that idea going in our head last year. And there was some confusion last year, I think, with the donor tier incentives. So we simplified it a little bit this year, right? $10 gets you a shout out on the podcast. And for $20, you're getting a free autographed picture of Quinn David Furness, as well as a fun little business card. We'll get a close-up starting with camera 2 here. Father Quinn David Furness, ordained minister. You see it right there. We are live. We got tons and tons of these. This is just a small stack that I grabbed. Those are going to be ready to go out in the mail very soon as we show camera 2 here. Quinn David Furness, my new business cards. And for those of you who are just catching the audio either live or after, check Instagram, check Facebook. We'll try again on YouTube as well. Those will be included in your autographed pictures at no additional charge, which is really exciting. And then our Topaz Elite members, $35 gets you an interview of your choosing on the podcast. You get to talk about whatever topics you want, as long as they are safe for work, SFW. And that would be a good time to mention that listener discretion is advised when you're listening to the Beantown podcast, because we are also live on beantownpodcast.com through SoundCloud. And this is our weekly episode, right? It's February 15th, 2020, one day after Valentine's Day. And you know what? Thanks, everyone, for listening. So number one, this podcast will occasionally use some language here and there. We'll do that from time to time. Number two, podcast is objectively terrible, but it's a whole lot better today. We got our reading glasses on just in case there's stuff we got to read. We have our telethon hat on, which is really exciting. So there's just a lot to be excited for. We've got some buttons that will be given away live on air. We've got some crafts from Grandma Sal that we're going to show off to you all. We even got a TV guide. We got a blood pressure monitor. There's so much happening today at live on air that you can't help but think, gee, it would be a great time to donate to the podcast. So we're really excited that everyone is here. And of course, our faithful partner from the beginning of time, Jack Links. Look at this travel mug, courtesy of Uncle Andy. Thank you so much. It is full of water here because I'm still doing dry January. And so we'll be sipping that as the hour progresses here. Now would be a good time to mention that phone lines are wide open. 815-298-7200. You're going to want to call in and donate to the Beantown podcast. You'll have an opportunity to go live on air. You can tell us in a couple sentences or more how much you love Beantown, what is great about it to you, how it's changed your life these last 3 years. You're going to have that full opportunity to do all that stuff, and you'll see the number. We're posting it in the comment sections of both of these streams here. And if you're coming to us, after the fact, if you're just listening to our recording, well, you have the opportunity. Peace event, the cornerstone of Pledge Drive Month for sure, is always the Telethon Fundraiser. We're going to keep that GoFundMe page open until we do indeed hit our goal. So I think those are the things you need to know. We've got the phone is ready to go. It's been a little bit quiet here to start, but showing camera 2 first. Rotary phone is a new addition to the apartment this year, and a fun new thing to have on the Pledge Drive Fundraiser Telethon. So that is ready to ring anytime here. And we'll take your calls if you want to be featured live on air again. Go ahead and dial in 815-298-7200. Again, that's 815-298-7200, and we would love to have you be live on the air. Phone lines are open. Donations are wide open, ready for you to donate, support the arts, support local small business. It is Small Business Saturday, of course, the day after Valentine's Day, just as it is every year. So there has never been a better time to donate to the Pledge Drive fundraiser than right now. Show your support. We've got these Beantown buttons here. It's very exciting. We got tons of these ready to go. We'll ship them out to you. Thank you for donating. Just a small way for us to say thanks to you all. So what's been going on this past week? Well, it's all been focused on the Telethon Fundraiser. I tell you what, we've been all over town doing stuff to raise awareness, talk to local organizations, different people, but just a lot of stuff going on. Starting last night, we were at the Garfield Park Conservatory in the western part of Chicago. Went there. Their spring show was kicking off. I figured, what better way to advertise the podcast than with the beauty of plants and flora and fauna and cacti and Sagittariuses, and I think there was one that was called Blooming Texas or but we also took the opportunity to spread the word and just kind of how evangelical Christians, their big thing is all about going out into the world, salt of the earth, and spreading the good news and all that stuff. Well, it's sort of like evangelical podcastism, I guess is how you'd say it. Evangelical podcastism, podcasting. There it is. Evangelical podcasting, going out into the world, spreading my seed to unsuspecting victims, and it's really exciting. We were able to do that at the conservatory last night. Other places we did some curling. That's right, curling, curling. No, ladies, we're not talking about hair products. We're talking about getting on the ice, brushing back and forth, just like you brush your teeth. And curling, who would have thought? It was a little chilly out there, but it was very exciting nonetheless to be able to get out there and, curl it up. Got the stones or the rocks, whatever they're called. And you got, what's the name of the it's not called a bullseye. It's called like the roundhouse or something, or the cabin, some special term like that. And it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of what it is. And the house, maybe it's called the house. And we're getting work emails here live during what? That's just rude, frankly, to email somebody during their own telethon fundraiser. I can't control it, you know. Should we read it on air? No, we're not going to do that. But we do have some stuff to read on air a little bit later, which is really exciting. Whatever. So we went curling on Tuesday night. That was a lot of fun. And I think I won 19-4, which is pretty exciting. Usually curling games are a little bit lower scoring than that. So there's a lot of energy. It was really exciting to be able to do that. My first time ever curling. So I can check that off the list. And I got to say, I think I'm a natural at it. You know, it wasn't a purely ice surface. It was sort of a slippery synthetic plastic kind of deal, but it was outdoors. It was on a rooftop. It was exciting. 10 rounds, 4 stones per side, and we pulled through pretty well. So that was a fun thing to do on Tuesday. In preparation, you know, I wanted to make sure I was healthy, hearty, fit for this podcast. So we've been eating pretty well all week. I made an experimental casserole on Monday night, and I know what you're thinking. Oh boy, experimental casserole. What is crazy Quinn up to this time? I was, you know, so when winter comes around, I'm a big batch cooker, and not meth for you New Mexicanites over there. A big batch cooker. So oftentimes I'll do a stew, or I will do a chili of some sort, however many sorts of chili there are. And I decided this week I wanted to shake things up a little bit. You know, I got some casserole dishes. It's kind of like a Papa Bear and a Mama Bear. So you got a classic 9x11, whatever size it is, and then a little guy, maybe more like a 7x9 sort of thing. 2 casserole dishes. And I wanted to make a casserole, but you know, I've been dieting pretty heavily the first 2 months of this year, and still doing dry January. And I thought, you know, so many casseroles are either heavy in the cream or rice or pasta or some sort of, you know, there's a lot of cream, there's a lot of carbs usually going on. So I was trying to find a way around that. And of some kind I found. So my thought is, okay, what's kind of the best carb that I can load up on? And quinoa is a classic one. I like it because it's kind of like my name with a little wa extra, like quinoa. Maybe I could start my own quinoa brand, quinoa. We'll think about it. I have to think about how we want to spell it. But quinoa, however you want to say it. So experimental casserole, starting with a quinoa base. And the next thing you got to figure out is, okay, what are you going to do for protein? So chicken, I'm a big chicken kind of guy. Love chicken breasts, have it all the time. In fact, I was, speaking of chicken, hearing about a former roommate who apparently has 1 chicken a day. That's his routine to get big, to get bulky, but doesn't go to the gym, which, you know, it's one thing to bulk up and get protein and protein shakes and eat a whole chicken a day. But if you're not going to the gym, you're not pumping it, you're not lifting it. This is how I pump when I go to the gym. Pump. You know, you're just gonna bulk up like this. Check that out. But back to the recipe, because I know you all are hanging on the edge of your seat. Like, what's Quinn's experimental casserole like? Get the chicken going. Get a bag of frozen broccoli. Now, I'll say this. I like fresh broccoli, but it's just a lot tougher to chop up. You got to worry about kind of snapping the heads off, the flowerets, whatever you want to call them. It's just a lot of extra work. And for today's modern young man like myself, you know, time is of the essence constantly. So broccoli, just a frozen bag, let it defrost a little bit. We threw in some black beans, right? Add some volume to it, add a little bit extra protein. Okay, you see where I'm going with this. 2 bell peppers, 1 red, 1 orange, yellow, whichever you want to do. Do some slicing and dicing, that sort of thing. Onions, They say a Spanish onion, but I can do a yellow. And then throw in some, oftentimes with a casserole, you're going to get some sort of heavy cream or something. And hang on, because we got our first caller. This is very exciting. Coming live on the air. Here we go. Wow. Joaquin Velasco, you're live on the podcast. What's going on?
Hello. How is everything going
on
this beautiful day? I know today is going to be considered one of the most important days in the history of the United States because the Beantown podcast is having their annual telethon.
We sure are. Thank you for calling in.
And thank you for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I can officially say that. And for me, it's a privilege to be able to be on these airwaves, to be able to share my opinions, and just be able to support one of the top 500 podcasts here in the great, great, great city of Chicago.
Well, that's very exciting. Joaquin, we were going to have you on the podcast about a year and a half ago out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and it fell through. I'm glad we're actually getting you back on this time around.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Furness.
Yeah.
I just wanted to call in, show my support. I'm going to be, are we doing donations over the air or just through the website?
If you want to put your credit card number out there, that's up to you. But I think the more secure option is through the website.
I'll do it through the website. Just wanted to call in, and just be on the airwaves and just show my support for this great podcast.
Well,
and also I just wanted to give a shout out to what is it called? Links, Jack Links.
Jack Links. Oh yeah, absolutely. We got it. We got it right here. We're drinking from the Jack Links travel mug right here, live on the airwaves.
He's supporting the brand. I bought many products from Jack Links because Quinn is such a big fan of your product, and I've bought so many things because I've heard good recommendations, and I think honestly, if I can be truthful, I think Quinn, you need to be the face of Jack Links. Maybe next year around this time, you'll be on a Super Bowl ad for Jack Links that push those revenues through. Just wanted to share that as an opinion.
Well, that's very high praise. We appreciate that.
All right, Mr. Furness. Thank you so much for having me on the air, and have a successful day.
Thank you so much, Joaquin. We really appreciate your support.
All right. All right. Bye.
Bye. Wow. How do you like that? Our first caller of hopefully many. Things are really heating up here on the Pledge Drive Telethon Fundraiser. Wow, there's a lot to manage. I do want to shout out before we jump back into our riveting story on casserole recipes here live on the telethon. Thank you to Fisher Price for the rotary phone. It's very exciting. You can see it's absolutely hooked up for real, and it makes just listen to this noise when you're doing the dialing. It's real fun. Feel like a kid again, except I never had this toy when I was a kid. So I'm learning for the first time. I'm getting to experience all this stuff, which is very exciting. Okay, back to the Pledge Drive Telethon Fundraiser. The casserole story, we're almost finished. So instead of using like a cream of chicken and cream of mushroom, Campbell's comes in the can, that sort of thing, it's fine, but you're getting a lot of extra sodium in there, some more fat than you're looking for. So kind of a fun alternative. Greek cauliflower rice, right? It's significantly worse, but still passable. Kind of like my entire college career. But it's, Greek yogurt. It's not really going to do anything to the flavors, but it's going to add some of that creamy texture or so. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. And, You whip it all together. It's going to make a lot, so watch out. I was using like a 1 cup of uncooked quinoa, which creates a lot more than a cup of cooked quinoa, and 2 chicken breasts, and all the other good stuff that I had mentioned. Oh, some diced tomatoes, Rotel, Hormel, whichever one you want to use. That's good stuff, or even off-brand, whichever, doesn't matter. And then the kind of secret weapon here, which is something that I don't often have. Cheese, shredded cheese. So I'm doing a bag of mozzarella, I'm doing a bag of cheddar, 2 bags for those of you counting at home. And you take about half of each bag, half and half, like the dairy product, we're talking dairy now, and you throw it in the bowl, mixing and mashing and that sort of thing. And then you pour it all out into the casserole dish. I didn't do anything with, spraying or oils or essential amino acids of any kind, because and what you realize is it can be a little bit runny, and I think that's because the Greek yogurt, once you stir it up, will turn a little bit more watery than your traditional cream-based product. But because it was, pros and cons to it, right? The con is you'll get a little bit of a runny casserole, but something that everyone deals with at least once in their lifetime. But the con is you don't have to worry about really anything sticking to the bottom of the pan, because it is, you got a little bit of a watery action going to it. But it's not that bad, because it will help if perhaps there's some quinoa in there that didn't quite get fully cooked, or it will pros to having it be a little bit more watery going into the oven. When it comes out, it's it's Mamma Mia, it's perfect. But what you do is you spread it all out into the casserole dish, then you sprinkle the rest of the cheese on top. Now the thing is, you don't have to cook it for that long, because at this point I'd already cooked my chicken on the stovetop. All that stuff, I just cut it up into chunks and sauteed it, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so everything that's going into the casserole dish at this point is actually cooked, with the exception of the peppers, the broccoli, not really cooked, but you don't need to cook those. You just gotta heat them up a little bit. So I stuck it in the oven, 350 or 375, whichever you prefer, for about 15 minutes or so. And then my secret weapon, which really helps the cheese on top get a nice kind of golden brown action going, you turn it on the broiler, which is a hidden weapon that I feel like a lot of people don't know about, a lot of people don't necessarily take advantage of. You're gonna wanna broil. Do that for about 5 minutes. In case you don't know, a broiler is when it gets super hot on top of your oven space, and so it just kind of zaps the very top of it. It's like abracadabra. And that all comes out, and I tell you what, I made so much casserole that I ate that for dinner Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We just finished it up last night on Valentine's Day. Got a belch coming, excuse me. Mercy. Be a good time to refuel. Thanks to Joaquin, of course, for calling in. And as mentioned, Jack Links, we would love to have you as an official sponsor. Jack Links, feed your wild side. Go to jacklinks.com to find the nearest jerky to you. Jack Links, we have been pining for your affection for the last 3 years here. We even interviewed one of your employees live on air once. And I know the deal is currently 1 billion followers to get that official sponsorship. But I mean, it seems like a lot. That's, and it could be more than just China pretty soon here. So just something to think about. We would love to partner up, but 1 billion kind of seems like that's a tall order. Now would be a great time here to remind everyone that the phone lines are wide open. If you can't get through on your first call, keep trying. We would love to have you be live on air. You can join people like Joaquin Nolasco donating to the podcast. Thank you, Joaquin, for calling in. So whoever wants to be next, the phone lines are currently open. Very much reminiscent of some old school American Idol. Remember American Idol, you had to call in to vote. There was no texting. You had to call, and I think their original partnership was Singular Wireless, if anyone remembers when that was a thing. Their logo was kind of like a star, like 3D kind of guy going on. I think five spokes or something like that. Singular Wireless, they then moved to AT&T. We're on Verizon Wireless today, but no official partnership, so don't need to give them extra screen time. I want to mention, of course, yesterday was Valentine's Day, and it's a very excitable holiday for a lot of people, very neurotic, very erotic, very exotic, depending on where you live. I've never been in a relationship on Valentine's Day. I'm not currently in a relationship, which has its pros and cons. I think oftentimes in the past, not struggled, but just felt, slightly lonely on Valentine's Day. Didn't have an issue with that yesterday. I was working the whole day. I was really busy. I was only able to watch one episode of The Wire at the office. So I was pretty busy, frankly. But went to the conservatory to, see the start of the spring show, as I mentioned, and talked about the podcast a little bit to some of the passerbys there, and then went and met some friends for drinks. Up on Devon, and had a good time. But I want to mention a fun tradition, and we're tying it all together here when you hear your family on the Beantown podcast. Grandma Sal is a podcast legend. She made one appearance, and if you missed it, it was all the way back. You got to go to year one of the podcast to find this, literally about 100 episodes ago. She came on in something like April or May to do a live interview about her career in stamping and card making, and a very successful and lucrative career, I might want to add. But the great thing about Grandma Sal is you can always count on her for holiday cards. We're talking Valentine's Day, we're talking Halloween, occasionally a Thanksgiving card. I think we've done Lincoln's birthday in the past, not this year, but in the past. But Valentine's Day is always a big card kind of holiday. And this year, Grandma Sal has really upped her game in terms of the craftsmanship. And so I'm going to show you, starting with camera 2, and then we'll move over to camera 1, just kind of the basic format of this card. But wait till we show you what's really going on with this card. So you see love is in the air on the back. I don't really know what this has to do with Valentine's Day, but it says Carpe Diem. And over here, it's backwards on camera 1. That's kind of interesting. And then it says love on the other side. But wait till you see. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. Boy, I left the instructions in the other room. There's something really cool going on here where you got to do some sort of folding action. Oh, wait, I think I got it. And I'm just going to, whoa, blow your mind. New one. Camera 2, camera 1. Now it says, well, it still says love, but it's a different love. But check out the back, starting with camera 1. Hi and hugs. Look, hi and hugs. Let's try that again. Boom. Now it says, oh, it's back to the original. I thought there was more than that. But Grandma Sal, you really, with camera 2, you got a heart and a dog. Camera 1, heart and a dog. That is very exciting. And on the back it says Carpe Diem again. Carpe Diem. So this is like the love version, Valentine's Day version of a Rubik's Cube. I think I've done all the combinations now. But pretty impressive, Grandma Sal. Oh, this one has a fun heart on it. Check it out. Lots and lots of hearts. So thank you to Grandma Sal. And thanks to Grandma Sal for coming on the show live. If you missed that episode, I highly encourage you going and listening to it. Again, it aired back in year 1, so something like April or May, March through May, something like that. It was in the mid to late spring, I believe, year 1 of the podcast. So that was when the podcast was just a baby. It was only about 2 or 3 months old at that point. We began on early January of 2018. We hit our 2-year anniversary a couple months or last month, right around this time. And we are firmly in year 3 of the podcast. If you're just joining us, a reminder, this is the 3rd annual Beantown Pledge Drive Telethon Fundraiser. We're raising money for our operating costs, which are costs to run our website, beantownpodcast.com. And actually, I know I do a lot of joking around on this show, and that's sort of the purpose of it. But I had some time to kill on a train ride earlier this morning. I was coming back from breakfast with friend of the podcast, Tarek Shahada. And I was reading through the Beantown blog, which I don't think gets quite as much traffic as I wish it did, frankly, because it's a lot more digestible than a lot of the content that we put out there, because it's a lot shorter, right? If you haven't checked out the Beantown blog, you got to read some of our entries on there. We only drop one every other month or so. It's only when I really feel that creative vision. But in the past, we had ones that detailed my tonsillitis. There's some good stuff in there. Our most recent post was about the time I lost a bet in college and I fasted for a week, water fast, no calories for a week. So if you want to get inside the mind of what it's like to fast for a week, you could absolutely do that. I go day by day and you check it out. We've talked about +1 suppression at weddings. So there's a lot of good content on the Beantown blog. It's occasional movie review. So it's a little something different every month or every other month whenever we get around to posting on there. But go check out Beantown blog from beantownpodcast.com. SoundCloud as well has been our host these last 3 years now. Or 2+ years. They host us for unlimited content, and to get unlimited storage space and unlimited hosting anywhere on the internet, you're going to need some sort of subscription to someone. So SoundCloud has been hosting us. There's some operating costs there. And then I mentioned this earlier on the podcast, but we're partnering with a new brand called Wave, and they're going to allow us to make really digestible 30-second snippets of the Beantown podcast with some cool visuals laid over them. And it's just, for us to be able to post those on social media. So whether you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram or Twitter, follow us at White Buns or at Beantown Cast, or my YouTube page, Quinn Furness. Subscribe there, please. That helps us raise money for this podcast. And for the arts, for small business, it'll just be way easier for you all to consume that content. You don't feel like you got to listen to an entire 30+ minute episode of the Beantown podcast. Those are our costs for this year. Our goal is to raise $299. At the start of this show, we were already at $130. So we really appreciate that. We almost to our halfway goal. I bet we're well past it at this point, although I'm not tracking the numbers live. But we are 32 minutes in to our annual Telethon Pledge Drive fundraiser. As a reminder, the phone lines are wide open. If on the air and in 2,000 words or less, you can speak about what Beantown has meant for you, your friends, your family, your community, your state, really kind of, world peace in general. So there's a lot you can say, and we've already given our listener discretion as advised take, so you can really let loose with the language if you really want to. We are going to do something that everyone looks forward to on the podcast. We're going to read ads live on the air, and you actually all at home are now going to get to see this via video. So this is very exciting. We don't get to do this very often, but here goes. So let's pull up the ad reads here. If you're wondering, Quinn, you've been doing this for 2+ years. Don't you have them memorized? I got the gist of it, but I want to do this well. So here we go. Home Pride, Oregon. This is for all you Pacific Northwest listeners out there, which I know is most of my base. Home Pride, Oregon. Are you tired of selling your house for less than a quarter of what it's worth, all because you couldn't find a reliable home inspector in time? We all know how frustrating that can be. Well, Oregon listeners, there's good news. Home Pride Inspection Services in Bend, Oregon is Central Oregon's hottest new home inspection provider with inspection services including things like heating and cooling, roofing, plumbing, and so much more. Home Pride Oregon is both contractor certified and home inspection certified, so you know you're getting the good stuff. If you're tired of big real estate's stranglehold on the home inspection market, and you want a safe, certified home inspector that you can trust, you gotta call Steve. Listen up, here's the number. It's different than the Pledge Drive Telethon number. Call him at 541-410-0316 or visit homeprideoregon.com. Again, that's 541-410-0316, or just type in, whip out your smartphones or your desktops or your Nintendo Wiis, whatever you're using these days. Visit homeprideoregon.com. Inspection perfection. And again, we are streaming live on Instagram. Hello to everyone on Instagram, and we are on Facebook. Hello to everyone on Facebook. Camera 2, camera 1, camera 2, camera 1. And this is a live stream podcast, something we get to do every week through SoundCloud, beantownpodcast.com. You can access the live stream. It's, and if you're listening to this after the telethon, the donation lines will still be open. Phone lines might be tougher, but if you call on Sunday, we won't get you on the air, but we'll talk to you anyways, because I'm always talking with the friends, with the fans, with the family. A shout out to the Samson Q2U series. Check this out. If you've never seen it before live on air, here it is. And again, I want to be very clear. That's a Samsung, not a Samsung. Oh, boy. Here we go. We got Jack Furness, brother of the podcast, calling in live. This is very exciting. Here we go. Jack Furness, welcome to the podcast. Hello.
Hey, Q.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Just making some lunch.
A little late for lunch. What are you having?
Grilled cheese.
Do you spice it up in any way or not really?
We got some avocado and tomatoes.
How much does an avocado cost in Manhattan?
We got 5 for $5, but they were kind of little ones. But that was a pretty good deal. Usually like 2 for $3 or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a real good deal. Okay.
Yeah, they're actually not bad. I don't remember. Nicole, where did we get the avocados from? We got them from Food Bazaar.
Wow. Bazarr?
Went up to when we go to Food Bazaar, last Friday we went to this shopping complex in the Bronx that has like a grocery store and a Target, and the main reason we were going was to go to Home Depot because we wanted to get some plants. But it's also this grocery store there called Food Bazaar. And so we were stopping by. We had never been there before, and we get in there, and it's just like a total zoo. There's people everywhere. Everyone's cart is like mounted over with tons of food, and there's people giving out free samples. Nicole got a whole hot dog as a sample. And we found out later that it had been their grand opening, which is why everyone was going crazy. So that's where we got the avocados.
Wow. Whole hot dog. Any cool toppings or anything like that?
I think she got ketchup and mustard.
Okay. We call that a Blagojevich dog in Chicago.
Oh, well, I don't know what they call it here.
Okay. Well, Jack is a Topaz Elite member for the Beantown podcast, and we really appreciate his donation. Jack, in 2,000 words or less, do you want to tell us what the podcast means to you?
What does the podcast mean to me? That's a tough one.
At a loss for words.
Give me a hint.
Something about, building connections in the community and small business, and healing through laughter, and world peace, something along those lines.
I don't think I could have said it any better myself.
Well, what's going on in New York this weekend?
It's cold. Not as cold as it is in Chicago, I don't think, but it's down into the 20s, which is pretty chilly for New York. Just doing some work, nothing too exciting. Having kind of a lazy Saturday.
Sounds pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Still, just working hard.
All right. Anything coming up in the legal world that we should be aware of?
Good question. Let's see.
Well, there was a case that happened not too long ago where Justice Gorsuch in the Supreme Court had a really interesting concurring opinion talking about the role of district courts and issuing nationwide injunctions. He's being pretty critical of the way that district courts have been acting lately. So that, and Thomas signed in on that opinion too. So that could be pretty interesting. Other than that, not too much.
I was just hanging out at the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals on Thursday. I brought a high school group there, and I got to see some interesting documents from the Blagojevich case, and I just about wanted to throw up. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know his case went all the way up to the 7th Circuit.
Oh, yeah. Or, I don't know, because it's at the Dirksen Courthouse, which has, it's a district court and the 7th Circuit.
Does that have Northern District of Illinois, too?
Yeah, it has one of them. There's two. There's one in Rockford. There's one in Chicago.
Oh, Nicole wants to talk to you.
Oh, here we go.
I'm going to pass the phone off.
All right.
Hey, Quinn.
Hey, Nicole, you're live on the Beantown Podcast Telethon. Welcome.
Great. Thank you so much. This is my first time on the pod, and I have a suggestion. Well, first I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you know what the Enneagram is? Have you heard of this?
Enneagram? Is that something you swallow to clean out your digestion?
Okay. You need to look up the Enneagram.
I don't know how to spell
figure
that.
out what number you are, and I think that would be a great podcast episode.
How do you spell that?
ENNEAGRAM.
All right, you're going to have to text it to me.
Okay, I am a counterphobic 6. I have no idea what number Jack is, and I have no idea what number you are, and I would love for you and Jack to figure it out, and that would be a great podcast that I would listen to and would maybe even record for myself so that I can understand you both better.
What if we take the Enneagram test and you join us live on air for our Enneagram episode?
Well, I mean, sure, I will definitely facilitate that Enneagram session, but you can't figure it out by taking a test. You have to read descriptions of all the numbers and see what resonates.
Okay, we'll give it a shot.
Great. Just something for you to think about. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good. This is a live air.
I know.
We're live streaming on Facebook and Instagram, and we've got our podcast feed going on SoundCloud. So it's a big day. It's very exciting for us.
Well, congratulations. I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you back to Jack, who's making himself a sandwich right now.
Yeah, grilled cheese.
Yes. Okay, Quinn, have fun.
Thanks for calling in, Nicole. Bye.
All right. Well, any big plans for the rest of the telethon?
Well, we're already on minute 44 here. So
What's your running time?
Shooting for about an hour.
Okay.
We are in the middle of our ad reads, so we'll finish those up, and then I think we're going to do something very exciting. We're going to take our blood pressure live on air.
All right. Well, we'll be watching while we eat our grilled cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for everything you do and for bringing world peace to small businesses and all that stuff.
Yep, synergy. That's a good word too.
Okay, don't do anything I wouldn't do.
All right, that doesn't mean very much.
No, it doesn't.
All right, we'll check in on you later.
Okay, stay frosty.
All right, bye. Wow, another caller, the second of many for our live telethon fundraiser. Well, that's very exciting. Thank you to Jack and Nicole for calling in all the way from Manhattan. It really shows you what a global reach we've got going on here. We really appreciate it. Jack is a Topaz Elite member. That means not only is he getting a live interview on the air on a future episode, he's also getting an autographed picture of yours truly, Father Quinn David Furness. He's getting a business card from us, And he will be getting, of course, a live shout out on the podcast. And you too can achieve all of those by heading to our GoFundMe page and donating. We are well on our way to our goal of nearly $300 to cover operating costs for the podcast in this upcoming year. And we are well on our way to year 4 of the Beantown podcast, believe it or not. Things are just heating up here. People ask me how do you keep this podcast going? And I don't really know how to stop at this point. So let's see. I wanted to quickly mention the TV guide. I've got one in front of me, and before you get excited, no, it's not a fresh copy. It's got what was this, Keith Urban, I think, somebody on the cover. Kenzie and Deeks Tie the Knot. Oh, NCIS LA Wedding. I thought it was The Bachelor or American Idol or something. It's been almost a year since we got our first copy of the TV guide. This is from March 4th through 17th, 2019. It was a double issue. The lines weren't that hot, then maybe we would just read the TV guide live on air, but I don't think we're going to need to do that because, as mentioned, as foreshadowed, we have a very special treat coming up in 1 second here, where we'll be taking my blood pressure live on air and releasing the results. You didn't think I had it in me. I've got it in me. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. But let's finish up our ads here. And the one that has really become a fan favorite, written by yours truly, produced, composed, all the music from right up here. It's Cuts by Q. And in case you're wondering, this haircut, which needs some feathering, check my angles here. This is all Cuts by Q. If you are in the Chicagoland area and you're looking for an affordable haircut that makes you look good too, call Cuts by Q. And this isn't even the ad read yet. This is just, boy, you want actual user testimonials, you go to beantownpodcast.com/cutsbyq. That's cuts, Q-U-T-Z by Q, and you will see all the different hairstylings that we offer. I don't know about you. I think this looks pretty good, actually. It's been about a month plus since our last haircut. Starting to get a little shaggy, a little 80s look going on here. So we're going to trim this down pretty quickly in the next couple of weeks here. But yeah, you know what? Cuts by Q. If you want to look as good as Q does day in, day out, you know what you got to do. So let's read our ad here, and then we're going to jump into our blood pressure readings. Okay, bob and weave. Oh, my hat's all off. I kind of look like Slash in this thing, the guitarist for Guns N' Roses. For those of you under the age of 60, go Google it. You can see what he looks like. Bob and weave. We all know the hairstyle, and we all love it. But how many Chicago-based independent barbers can actually give it to you the way you deserve? Enter Cuts by Q. It's like Enter Sandman, just a little bit different, which is by Guns N' Roses. Owned and operated since 1995. It's probably one of the better barbershop operations serving Chicago, Cook County, and the greater Chicagoland area. From beehives to bangs, faux hawks to flat tops and everything in between, just call Cuts by Q at 815-298-7200 or email cutsbyq@yahoo.com. Again, that is cuts, Q-U-T-Z, by Q at yahoo.com. All right, from across the nation, sing it with us loud and clear if you'd like. You know how it goes. I'll give you a pitch and we can start together. Me, 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 me. Oh, when you need a fresh do, something snappy and new, just call the experts at Cuts by Q. Cuts by Q live on the Beantown Podcast Telethon Fundraiser Pledge Drive 2020 Year 3. How exciting to be able to share that with the fans, the friends, and the family across the globe. We really appreciate your support. Thanks to everyone who's been with us from the start. We've got about 10 minutes left on our Pledge Drive fundraiser here. Hey, that's pretty good. That turns out 10 minutes. And then opposite on camera 1, 10 minutes left on the Beantown Pledge Drive fundraiser. And for those of you listening after the fact, oh, this is a treat. We had breakfast with him this morning. He's calling in on the podcast right now. Here we go. Tarek Shahada is now live on the Beantown Podcast Telethon Fundraiser. Tarek, what's going on?
Hello. This This is actually Lonnie.
Lonnie, how's it going?
It's going good. I was told if I call in, I could get my blood pressure read.
Oh, man. All right. You got to hook yourself up to a machine.
Okay, I'm hooked up.
What, are there any instructions?
On the machine?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't say what kind of machine, so I'm just using my hair trimmer.
That's okay. That'll into the side of your head because the Daytona 500 is tomorrow. Oh, he wasn't kidding.
Okay, I've got the stripes.
That was pretty fast. You're very efficient.
Well, thank you.
I think we should hire you on at Cuts by Q.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, thanks so much for calling in. You want to tell us what Beantown means to you?
Well, I was kind of wondering what my blood pressure was, so.
Oh, well, hopefully somewhere above like 50 and somewhere below 200.
Oh, okay.
It tends to be the safe range.
Okay, I'll shoot for that.
Okay. What else is going on, Lonnie?
I don't know.
This is really we really hit a rut here on the telethon.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just been kind of concerned about my health lately, so I wanted to get some insights.
Let me ask you this: have you consumed any sweet rolls lately?
I actually had one this morning, coincidentally.
That could be a problem.
Should I not do that?
I think it's bad for your blood pressure.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine if you had two instead of one? You'd probably be out cold right now.
That would have been so bad.
That would be embarrassing.
That's why I didn't do that. That would have been so bad, dude.
Lonnie, I can't quite pick up your accent. Where are you calling from?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm calling from Jacksonville, North Carolina.
You seem to be changing every little second here. It's interesting. What's the weather like in Jacksonville, North Carolina today?
Well, it's ice cold today. We got snow all day. It's about a foot of snow has fallen so far.
That sounds a lot like North Carolina.
Yeah. What the hell did you say?
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Hey, Lonnie, anything else you want to share with our listeners?
Oh, God, I can't think of anything. I guess be careful about those cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, they are tasty, though.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'll wait for my results from the blood pressure test in the mail, I guess. And thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, I'll write some on the back of your autographed picture so you can remember.
Perfect. Thank you much.
All right, Lonnie, take care.
Thank you, Quinn.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye. That was weird as shit, man. That was one of those things where it's like, you know, the comedy gig, but it was kind of caught off guard. That's probably how people feel every time they listen to my comedy. The goose got caught by the tail by the gander. Well, I tell you what, man. All right, the time has come for, I'm glad Lonnie sort of ushered us in to our next segment here, which is taking our blood pressure live on the air. We're going to have to plug it in, so I'm going to be off camera for 1 second here. But we got this nifty little guy, and he reads our blood pressure and tells me if I'm going to die tomorrow or not. So far, I haven't gotten that result. Oh, we got another caller in. Things are heating up right at the end of the Pledge Drive Telethon. This is great. Okay, here we go. Wow, 1 second. It looks like it's Haley Benson live on the Telethon Fundraiser. What's going on? How are you?
Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
We've got a crew over here.
Oh,
Yeah. Happy Telethon Day.
thank you so much. Thanks for calling in. How's it hanging?
I just want you to know I asked them to give me the number. And
Where did you think it was going to take you to?
I thought
No burner phones. I'm a straight shooter.
How many calls have you had so far?
You're number 5, I think.
Wow.
Oh, it's been a big day. You just missed. We had Joaquin Nolasco on about half an hour ago. Yeah, it was good. You can when the podcast comes out on SoundCloud, I'll send you the link and you can listen to his phone calls. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, are we live on the air right now?
Oh, you sure are.
Oh wow! I feel like there should have been like a warning for that, maybe.
The warning is that it's the Telethon Fundraiser.
So what are we fundraising for here?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Adriana. So every year, the Beantown podcast has an operating budget, and that is money for a couple different things. Our website, beantownpodcast.com, where you'll also find the Beantown blog, one of our best sources of comedy. You will have the operating costs for SoundCloud. So for an unlimited free storage account, it costs money each year. So there's money that goes into that. You know, we've got something like 200 some hours of Beantown podcast footage out there for you all listeners to enjoy tuning into. And then also with our new brand partnership with Wave, it's going to allow us to make smaller bite-sized pieces of podcasts that we can post on Instagram with fun visuals so that you can consume the podcast without committing a whole 30 or 45 minutes to it, making Beantown more accessible for people like you, as well as, you know, the kids out there, small business, support the arts, etc.
Is there a charitable cause going along with this fundraiser, or is this just for the podcast?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned. So once we hit our goal of $299, everything that we get after that goes right to JDRF, Juvenile charitable aspect to it for sure.
Right. Wow. Thank you for all the information.
Yeah. What are you guys doing today?
We're in the car.
Where are you going?
We're headed back to the city.
From where?
We were in the Burbs for a bridal shower.
Oh, that's very exciting. How was it?
Okay, that's fine.
How was the shower? Looks like they're going through a tunnel.
Who?
Hello, are you still there?
We're here.
Wow, how was the shower?
It was good. Sorry, we're trying to figure something out over here. How much is this call charging me per minute?
I can't help you there.
I said, how much is it charging me per minute? What's your run rate these days?
I don't charge you. You donate through the telethon link.
Oh, okay. Can we just Venmo you or something? How do you donate?
You sure could. I'm glad you asked, Adriana. So you can either head to our GoFundMe campaign site. If you just Google GoFundMe Beantown Podcast, you'll find it. Or you can Venmo us, and we'll funnel the money directly through the GoFundMe page. So a lot of different options.
Wow.
Or
I
in
really
what?
wish you success with your podcast.
Thank
And
you.
hopefully the money can go towards an updated website and an unlimited SoundCloud account and your fun clips on Instagram.
You know,
And also, does the money go to the dates that you go on for the podcast content?
wait, what about dates?
Yeah, does the money go to the dates that you go on for your podcast content?
I want to make this clear. I never go on dates purely for the podcast content. Oftentimes it will turn into that because something goes awry. But the intention is never to say, hey, I'm going on this date just to get of making a date.
Okay.
Sometimes it turns into that.
I do feel like I have proof that says otherwise, but...
Well, I know what you're referencing, and I'll tell you that the date was not scheduled to say, oh, let's put this on the podcast. It turned into that.
I got you. Okay.
All right. What are you going to do the rest of the day?
Donate. We're going to just spread this like wildfire.
I don't know what you said, but that's okay.
I said we're going to spread this like wildfire. We're just going to spend
Oh,
all
the
day.
telethon?
doing our
Oh, we
marketing.
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, All right, bye, Quinn. Good luck.
All right. Thanks for calling in, guys.
Bye.
Yep, bye. Well, that was very exciting. I will mention that our Instagram video, live video, is ending in 14 seconds. Apparently, there's a cap on these sorts of things. I don't think there is on Facebook, so we're going to keep going with camera 2. But for all of you watching on Instagram, beantownpodcast.com, GoFundMe, head there, donate now. Thanks for tuning in. And the live video for Instagram is now finished, so we're going to share that to our story, which could take upwards of 2 or 3 hours, considering it's a 60-minute video. Thanks to Haley Benson, Adriana Enriquez, and whoever else was in the car for calling in, supporting the Telethon Fundraiser. We are now finally going to get to taking our blood pressure. Oh, never mind. We got another caller. This is very exciting. I will mention that this isn't showing up on caller ID, so we're going to see what's going on here. We'll put it on speakerphone first. Hello, this is Quinn David Furness. Aaron, do you want to go live on the air? All right. Welcome to the Beantown Podcast. State your name again.
My name is Aaron Davila. Howdy.
San Antonio. Hey, are you with Tim Duncan right now?
I wish I was with Tim Duncan right now. He's probably in his car shop. That man remodels muscle cars, I'm pretty sure.
Wow, that's pretty. You seem to know a lot about Tim Duncan.
Oh, the whole city does. We definitely are gonna have a Tim Duncan Day as a city holiday at some point.
I like that. Forget President's Day and just insert Tim Duncan Day.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for that.
You know, we once, about 2 years ago, had Brian Scalabrine give us a live shout out for the Beantown Podcast, and I think that's how we went from about 3 subscribers all the way up to 6. So if we could get Tim Duncan to do something like that, get another 3 subscribers, that would be huge.
Yeah, he doesn't like to say much, but if I ever see him on the streets of San Antonio, I'll be sure to ask him for a shout out.
We appreciate that. Well, in 2,000 words or less, why don't you talk about what the Beantown Podcast means to you?
Well, the Beantown Podcast is like a little short burst of Quinn. But just because, when we used to work together, it was always fun to get back from a tour at Northwestern, tired of talking to all these prospective students. And I was like, oh, here's this quirky dude upstairs who I can crack a few jokes with. So it's cool to be able to experience that, even though it's been years since we worked together.
And it's always fun to watch Big Trouble in Little China when you're at work, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, Big Trouble in Little Beantown.
That's the sequel. Hey, have you ever seen Roadhouse?
I have not. But I've been Texas Roadhouse. It's a big steakhouse chain over here.
You got to watch Roadhouse. It's Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott, and it's a classic, dive bar blues kind of movie with a lot of biceps and good bar fights and stuff. I think you'd really enjoy it.
I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
Yeah, I think it's on Prime or Netflix or something like that. But, how illegal streams are these days, you can watch just about anything.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about discussing illegal.
Okay, I won't tell.
Speaking of an ordained minister, I do got to apologize. I know earlier on the stream you mentioned a really old episode with your grandma talking about stamping.
Yeah.
And sometime around that point, I think you also did a stream playing a card game with your brother or one of your friends.
That was my brother, yeah.
I admittedly have not kept up with the podcast too much since those old days. So I got a lot to catch up on. But I just wanted to drop in for a bit, show my support. I donated to you on Venmo. At least I hope it didn't go to some other Quinn. But I'll definitely be catching up on that.
well, we really appreciate that. And I tell you what, you might start with the Beantown blog. It's a lot less to consume. There's 1 blog post every other month. And it's, if you're digging the kind of stuff that's on there, then you might like what we're doing on the Beantown Podcast.
Oh, I'm sure I'll dig it, man. It's just I need to put more priority on the good podcast. Filter out all the fake, all the fluff, and just get back to Beantown.
Sometimes life gets in the way,
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to call in real quick and show my support, man. I really like what you're doing, and I know it's just going to get bigger and better.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much for calling in, Aaron.
All right, see you around, man.
Yeah, have a good one. Wow. The calls just keep coming in. We said, hey, you know what? We'll keep those phone lines open for an hour, but it's sounding like we're going to have to keep them going for a little bit longer. So as long as everyone on Facebook is okay with that. Sorry for those losers on Instagram who have now lost their stream privileges, because apparently you can only stream for 1 hour on Instagram, but we're still going live on the audio recording. And as a reminder, if you are listening to this post-telethon, because we know Saturday midday is a busy time for everyone, you can still donate on the GoFundMe link. That's going to be continuing to stay open for a while. And of course, we're not just going to shut it down once we hit 299, our goal, right? We're going to keep it going. Research Fund right here in Chicago, Illinois. But the time has come for a blood pressure. Oh, that's pretty cool. Whoa. Okay, so on the auto feed, you can't see this, but on Facebook, I'm holding up my blood pressure monitor, and you're seeing a reflection of me in the reflection of me. That's pretty cool. It's like that scene in It Chapter 2 where they go to the Hall of Mirrors. So let's adjust our laptop here. We'll get a better view of what we're doing. And you can see there's our Instagram, where we were live streaming before with a roll of toilet paper and our football trophy and a rotary phone. And we got to get this bad boy plugged in. So give me 1 second to do that. Got a lot of stuff plugged in here. Boy, this has been by far, excuse me, and I'm not just saying this, absolutely this has been the best telethon fundraiser we have ever had. So what you do is you plug it into power. It also says it runs on battery, but mine's never been able to work like that. Then you take this little air tube guy, and give me 1 second to get this adjusted. Then you got to take the big strap and the Velcro, and I'm now going to put the mic down for 1 second so that I can get this adjusted on my arm. Oh boy, we got another caller in before we take our blood pressure. We're never going to get to it. Just wait. This is, Queen of podcast herself, Jane Dennis and Furness. Hi, Mom. You're live on the podcast. What's going on?
Enjoying the discussion about the blood pressure device.
Thanks. We've been trying.
Oh, dang. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
We've
it's
got
okay.
a delayed feed here, so you haven't even answered the phone on Facebook yet.
Ah, that is pretty delayed. Wow.
It is delayed.
It was like half an
Dad
hour
and I
ago.
are sitting here and we're watching some light snowfall, but we heard that like coldest temperatures ever in Rockford, Illinois. We were wondering what it's like in Chicago today.
Yep, so the worst of it started Thursday when the sun went down, and then all day yesterday was pretty miserable. And then today, as the sun has come up, well, it's all clouds, but as it's been daytime, it's warmed up. The feels like it's probably about 15 right now, which is still cold, but it's about 20 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. So we're on our way back. Yesterday was pretty tough. I was playing you in Game Pigeon on Thursday night, standing outside waiting for the train, and my phone just gave up because it was too cold. So
I saw that. Tragic.
Yeah, very tragic. Yeah, I think I lost in anagrams or something because of that. So,
tragic and advantageous.
disadvantageous for me, though.
Advantageous. ADVANTAGEOUS. Advantageous.
That's a good word, Mom.
Thanks.
Yeah. How's everything going with your dissertation?
Good. I've submitted. I'm waiting to hear back from my committee. Ready for March 19th. My defense.
That's very exciting. What does a dissertation defense look like?
Well, Uncle Andy wanted to know if there'd be nunchucks, but I told him it wasn't that kind of defense.
That's classic Uncle Andy.
It is.
You know, I was talking to him on the phone on Monday or Tuesday night or something like that, and he told me that you had a lot of juicy news for him, but that you had to run before him, but I didn't know what he was talking about. So I hope you're able to share that juicy news with him eventually.
Yeah, he got juiced.
Properly juiced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
what else is going on in Oregon this weekend?
Dad and I are going to go see Jojo Rabbit this afternoon.
Nice. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, we've heard really good things about it, so we're trying to knock off. What, Dad?
It was funny.
Yeah, I heard it was funny. Hitler's pretty funny.
Hitler's always funny.
So looking forward to that.
Lots of cute, precocious children.
Cute and precocious children. That'll be good.
Right, I just had my blood pressure checked when I went to the doctor last week.
Ooh, how was it?
Well, I went in and she said, "How tall are you?" And I said, 6'2", and when she measured me, I was 5'9".
Damn.
That's a problem.
She said, "How much do you weigh?" And I said, "About 185", and she weighed me, and I was 225.
Damn.
And then she checked my blood pressure and said, "It's incredibly high." And I said, "Well," I said, "what do you expect? When I came in here, I was tall and lanky, and now I'm short and fat."
That's
Yeah.
awful.
Good one, Pops.
Absolutely horrendous.
Thanks.
Sounds like you've been carbo loading too much.
Yeah. Many peanut butter pretzels.
Yeah, Dad has incredibly low heart rate, and he had been out running errands. He was pretty excited, so his heart rate spiked all the way up to 31 beats per minute. It was pretty wild.
That's getting into the danger zone like Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, it's thanks for calling in. It's been our most successful telethon ever. I think you're our 6th or 7th caller.
Oh my God. To hire people to answer the phone.
I know. I'm thinking maybe next year we'll get a cool setup where we have somebody in the background answering the phone and stuff. I think that could be good.
It just showed the telethon episode of Seinfeld last night.
Ooh.
Wow, it's perfect timing.
Yeah. Jerry's grandma called in and made a big pledge.
A little bit too big.
She's on a very fixed budget on the show.
There's the second live episode of 30 Rock, which came out, 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. There's a telethon, and it's Jimmy Fallon playing Alec Baldwin's character, and in the background there's Fred Armisen, and he's making all sorts of funny faces and stuff, and that's pretty good too. Telethons are right for comedy, I think.
Oh, I gotta check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'll find the clip and I'll send it to you. I woke up the other day thinking about it. I'll send it to you.
Man, your rotary phone is hot.
Thanks. Yeah, I forgot to answer it for the first 5 minutes of this call.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Very embarrassing. Yeah, we never had one of these as a kid, I don't think. So I'm just.
I did. That was even older than you guys.
Well,
that's
you didn't
really
want to
old,
share with us apparently. So. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I do want to mention I like your pimp hat.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's my podcast hat. It's also my Easter hat, and it's also my Minnesota Vikings hat. So it serves a number of purposes.
Nice.
And pimp.
And pimp. I don't do as much pimping these days, but maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to send out a Zoom link for fam chat in the morning.
Yeah, we're going to do live race analysis of Walter's Marathon.
Ooh.
That's right.
Yes. It's going to be very exciting. Big day. Big day.
Going to be analyzing his gait and breaking down his splits. And
that's going to be super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Going for the 2-hour record.
2 hour.
Yeah, I'm sure 80 degrees in Austin is the perfect climate for that.
Oh, poor Walt. I hope that holds off till later.
That depends on how fast he runs,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, good luck with the telethon. We're watching, cheering you on.
Yeah, we'll be finishing soon. Thanks for calling in. Enjoy your movie.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye. Wow. It just keeps getting better and better. We're going in for the blood pressure reading right now. We've got it all set up. Hopefully my heart rate isn't too high from all this excitement. So the tough thing with this is you got this little kind of thing going on here. You're supposed to line it up with your aorta, I think, with your artery. Now, what I don't understand is there's lots of arteries. So which one are you supposed to do? They never tell you. Let me see if I'm going to step away from the mic for a second here. Let's see if I can do this keeping this jersey on. Let's see. Give me 1 sec. So I'll continue to talk. Oh, yeah, we can pull this off. And the audio is not going to be quite as strong into the Samsung Q2U, so I apologize. But, you know, we do what we got to do for health. So I think, right, that's aligned. So now what we're going to do is going to take this number, and you're supposed to just let your arm rest like this, like so. And here we go. We're ready. Oh, it's like hitting the big red button. All right, arm is relaxed. Things are about to get all inflated up in here, which is very exciting. Add some pressure. Feel the blood coursing through your veins. My fingers have been twitching lately. I don't know if that's going to affect this at all. So have my toes. I've been running a lot more lately, and I'll just lie there on the couch at night just watching my toes. Like they're doing their own little thing, which is really exciting. All right. Sure, we'll see where this one goes. That's way too high. It reads as a 159/80, which is absolutely incorrect. Because that's like I'm gonna die if that was actually accurate. So what I like to do is try it again. Turn it off and try one more time. And if you're listening at this point, you're probably thinking 159/80. Gee, Quinn, you probably should have dropped dead like years ago. I think you're right. The tough thing about this is it's nice to have the at-home blood pressure reader. But one, I'm not as confident in my ability to do it myself and get accurate results. And two, I can take it 3 times in one sitting and we'll get 159 like that. We'll get 142. We'll see something in the 130s. And then the next time it'll jump back up to mid 150s. So I don't really understand what to make of this. And you don't want to assume the worst, but you don't want to assume the best either. Perfect example. Remember I just said 159? 128/84, okay? So you tell me what's the difference, 31 points and a 30-second apart reading. That's why this is tough for me, right? Do you assume it's a 159? Do you assume it's a 128? Is it in between? I don't really know. Basically what we learned from this is that the results are inconclusive. So we are on our 78, moving on 79 of the Beantown Pledge Drive Telethon 3rd Annual Fundraiser Spectacular. We're getting ready to wrap up here. We've done all that we wanted to do with all the blood pressure and talk about Jack Links and our business cards and Grandma Sal's crafts, and we mentioned the TV guide, our fun hat, all that stuff we've done, right? And you're probably thinking, time I finish a podcast, I think, I don't know what I actually just did. You sit there on SoundCloud and YouTube and you write the description and you do the tags and stuff. You got to think back. What did we talk about for the last, oftentimes half an hour, but today almost an hour and a half? I don't know. That's we're getting ready to wrap up here. So let's go through the kind of description of what we're doing here today one more time to finish up, and then we'll say hasta la vista to all you out there. Check our phone to see if there's anything else coming in. Not supposed to talk or move or cross your legs when checking your blood pressure, according to Mom. Thanks, Mom. We'll keep doing some readings, and we'll take the conglomerate average of 10 ISO, and we'll report our findings. And we'll also send Lonnie his numbers. Thanks to Lonnie for calling in. So as a reminder, it's our Beantown podcast, 3rd annual Pledge Drive Telethon Fundraiser. Thanks everyone who has called in. I don't want to forget anybody, but we've heard from Joaquin, we've heard from Jack and Nicole, we've heard from Haley and Adriana, we heard from Lonnie, we've heard from Aaron, we've heard from Mom and Dad, and I think I'm forgetting somebody. I apologize that person if I am, but thanks everyone for calling in. We've Manhattan, Oregon, Texas, we've been all over the place, so we really appreciate that. The GoFundMe page will stay open. Of course, your donations will continue to come through. Once we hit our goal, everything above that goes to the JDRF Research Fund, Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. Research Fund is what I just said. It's like calling it a PIN number, personal identification number, but it's okay. It's fun. We like to say it anyways. Thanks everyone who called in. Keep those donations flowing. As a reminder, it goes towards SoundCloud Unlimited hosting. It's free hosting, which we pay for. It goes towards our website costs. It has a link to our most recent podcast. This one will be up there soon, as well as archives of some of our older ones. But more importantly, it has the Beantown blog, which is one of my favorite comedic outlets. I post on there once every other month or so, and they're usually fun reads, or at least I think so. And also our Cuts by Q page, you'll see some of our cuts from the past, as well as some projects that we've got coming up in the future here, and then a contact page as well. And then our new partnership, something to look forward to with Wave. That's going to allow us to create 30 to 60 second sort of bite-sized pieces with some fun visuals overlaid over it, so that you can consume Beantown podcast content in smaller pieces. You don't have to listen to a whole episode. But that's what the money goes towards, and we really appreciate all your support. And we got donor tiers. $10 gets you a shout out on the podcast. $20 gets you an autographed picture of Quinn in the mail with an ordained minister business card. Got that going right here. And then $35 is our Topaz Elite member level. You're going to want to do this live interview on the podcast with the topic of your choosing. Okay, phone lines are closing. So if you call in after this, we'll still take your money, but you won't be on the live episode. Thanks everyone on Facebook Live. Thanks everyone on Instagram for tuning in. Thanks to our blood pressure meter. Thanks everyone. That's what we got for you. The GoFundMe link is in the description. Go donate, support local art, support small business here on Small Business Saturday, and support the Beantown podcast. New episodes every weekend. I haven't missed an episode in the last 2+ years, and we're going to keep that going. So happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Thank you for listening in. We really appreciate your time and support. That's what we got for you. The Facebook stream is ending now. Goodbye. And the podcast stream, yes, I want